Hello, welcome to Pop Along RC, the RC car channel dedicated to RC car racing. And recently I went out and I sorted out a pair of Schumacher Cougars for me and my pal Mark to take racing, and we're due to go racing tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, boss. So there's the box. Where's your car, boss?
Yeah, well, you see, about that, you know, there's an old motto I like to go with. You can't rush perfection. So, my car, how shall I put it? It's kind of, it's still in the box. You know, I'll just like look at it every now and again, get the grips with it. It's been a long time since I built my first one, which guess what happened to my first one? My mum threw it away. I moved out of home, she threw it away, and all that's left was that. Anyway, I'll get onto it soon. Have you done yours?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Does look nice actually. Did you rush it?
No, I got it done because we're supposed to be racing tomorrow.
Okay. Did you lose any bits whilst you built it?
I lost one bit, but I'm questioning whether it was there at all.
Of course it was there.
But it's all good.
Don't leave
And
things out of box.
I had one dud screw as well.
Okay.
So the screw was dud, and I'll show you where that screw is.
It does look nice though.
There's a missing screw just there.
Oh, you don't need that in there anymore.
So I've got one dud screw that I need to sort out. Otherwise, this car, it was actually really fun to build.
So if you don't know, the idea is that Carl and I, you see, we haven't raced each other really for quite some time. And the idea is to go back to basics a little bit, because RC when it grabs hold, it can take you to some expensive places, can't it?
And you've been to some expensive places. Meanwhile, I've been to some fun places with my Tamiya truck racing. But I'm hoping that we can find a middle ground with some budget, box stock, vintage racing.
Exactly. Do you know what I reckon is going to happen?
What?
I reckon me and you, when I get mine done in a little while, I reckon me and you...
You seriously haven't even started it?
Well, I looked in the box. I've got to get my head in the right frame of mind. I've got to get my tools lined up. I've got to get the lighting just right. I need to have some time on my side. And my wife keeps wanting me to do jobs and things like that. I'm doing my head. That's another story. But I got a feeling that when they're done, me and you are going to be pootling around the track in our own little merry racing world.
Having a bit of fun.
Having a bit of fun.
And that's what it's about.
Yes.
But you know what?
What?
I've already built mine and I recorded it. So, should we run the footage?
Go on then.
Okie doke. So here we are. A semi-tidy workbench. Well, at least there's a little bit of space. And today's project, we are starting on the Cougar Classic. Really like the manual. Having a quick sort of run through, it looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward build. Obviously nowadays, these parts tend to come as one piece, whereas it's made up of several pieces that you need to screw together. But having a quick scan through the book, it looks pretty straightforward. I have noted that on the screws, as you can see here, they're not hexes like you get with modern cars. We're back to a Phillips driver for those, so I need to make sure I've got the tools ready. Yeah, looking forward to this build. Anyway, that's enough of the manual. Shall we get inside the box and get this thing built? So first step is really get all your bags ready. What I like about these is they do it in steps, so you basically work your way through the bags, different steps as we go through. So here you can see we've got step 37, part D. So I'm going to be looking for the part A bag, which is this one here. And obviously this is step 1, see step 3 there. So I'm going to start off with one bag open, work my way through the steps, and then work my way through the rest of the box. here is the bag that has your thread lock and grease and bits and bobs in, which you will need for this step here, because what we're going to do is add a thread lock, and this is the steering Ackerman that we're about to build. So again, I've made sure I've got all the parts that I need for each side, and now it's time to screw it all together. Beautiful. Worth noting on this, obviously we've got the 3 ball studs that have gone on. You've got 2 slightly longer grub screws. This one at the back here is a shorter one. Make sure you get those the right way around. Okay, so that's that part done. This is actually the fiddliest part of the car so far, because when you're putting it together, you need to make sure this goes under here before you clamp it all down. So try and follow it as it is in the picture, and it should be just fine. So that is all good. On here it talks about so here it says about filing away to clear the steering. I've just checked mine. It looks like it runs perfectly. All I used was a file, and I just filed the tiniest amount of plastic down so it fits in without any issues. Okay, so next up it is putting the front suspension mount onto the car. There it is, front end almost done. So we now have the servo put in. So when putting the servo in, you keep these plastic parts sort of done up loose, so when you put the servo in, you can guys set it up and then you tighten it down. The servo saver, where to start on the servo saver? I'm not a massive fan, to be honest, and there is a lot of slop in this servo saver, and I'm not sure if that's supposed to be there or whether I've done something wrong. Okay, so problem solved. You can see now there is no slack whatsoever. That is rock solid, and the reason being is it was this wire here which I'd put in wrong. So it is important that you cross these 2 over in order to get that servo saver action to work well. So that is pretty sturdy now. Front of the car is complete, and now we make our way to the rear of the car, and let's get building. So this bit here looks nice and simple, but it is very important that put these into that hole first, then screw this through to hold it in place, and then you can attach it to the chassis, and when they're done they look a little bit like this. Obviously we've got to do the other side, so as you can see down here, that one is attached. I've left it loose so that I can put the arm on here, then I attach the other end, and then I screw it to the chassis. But it's pretty straightforward stuff. So worth noting at this stage, CA glue is super glue. So we super glue that onto there, and we've got the silicone grease, which comes in a little pot. What have I done with it? There it is. Got a little pot of silicone grease, and then we have got this one here, which is the moly grease, and the moly grease goes in between these, which is what I'm doing at the moment. I've put the groove washer in there. The next one to go in is this one here, and I'm going to top it off with that one, which is another groove washer if I turn it over. And then we've got these 2 here, which are a slightly different shape, and what you need to do is make sure they look like that when they're in there. So it depends on which way round they need to go. I'm not going to lie, putting these bits in was probably one of the most challenging parts of the build at this point, but they are all in there now. As you can see, you can use an Allen key to tighten up the diff, and you've got the screw there that you just need to put the Allen key into. It's just in there. Yeah, on to the next phase. Okay, next up we're going to put the belt in place and start putting this thing together. So that actually went together quite nicely. I'm holding it all in place because if I don't, this bit's going to fall out. But let's get the top on and get it all sealed up. So once these two screws are in, it's all held together. Now we just need to put these covers on and finish it off. And there it is. All done and dusted. So the next step is to get this in the car. The car's really starting to take shape now. Front end's pretty much done. With the rear, everything's in place. We just need to now do the uprights here and connect the wheels and then basically just finish off the car. Then we're going to look at putting the electrics in. But we are on to bag D. This remains one of the most frustrating parts of the build, trying to get these in. But we are getting there, and when you put it all together, you end up with one of these. So as you can see, the way the wheels mount to these is very different to the modern day hexes that we're using. The rear of the car is now pretty much done in terms of sort of the mechanics of the gearing and such. So these are all connected. What we need to work on next is fitting the rear wing, which is this part here. So it's rear wing and shock towers. And then we move on to the shocks, and the car is getting very close to completion. So build up to now has been going fantastically well, and I've come to my first issue, and that is one of the screws which has been supplied hasn't actually got the thread on it to screw in. So unfortunately it's a dud screw. So I need to go for a hunt, see if I can find a screw that will fit. Maybe once I finish building it, there might be some spare screws in the set, but with regards to the build so far, all very positive. So this section here looks pretty straightforward. Again, make sure you push this one all the way in, pack those into this bit then pushes in as well. Place the spacer on top, and then it comes to this clip here, the Eclip. Now, if you haven't got the right tool for it, what you might have lying around is a set of cutters like these. And what I have found is the end of these is just about small enough to fit into the holes so that you can just push that clip in place. Now we're on to electrics. This is the plan we have actually. Core 15 silver can motor. These, I think they're about a tenner. They're quite cheap. They'll probably get you through, well, if you're racing once a week, this should last a month. So they'll last a lot longer. However, if you're really picky about being one of the best drivers there, you will notice that they start to slow after about a month of racing. But that is in a Tamiya touring car like the TT01, TT02. In a buggy, we found that there seems to be, with the gearing, a little bit less wear on motors. But this is sort of early stages, so let's see how we get on. And for electrics, we are going with this. This is a Hobby Wing 1060 brushed electronic speed controller. Super simple, super basic. These are what we run in most of our touring cars. A version of some sort of the 1060 is what comes in most Tamiya kits these days. So here's the motor. As you can see, we have red and black leads coming out of the motor. Red is denoted by the red dot. Often you have yellow and blue. and the yellow would also be on the side of the red dot. So if we look at the ESC, you can see that I have just chopped these wires down. So we've got our yellow, which is the same as the red on here, and we've got our blue, which is the same as the black on the motor. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put some new wire in, like so, and solder straight onto the motor, because in the past, these little plugs that you get on the motors and the SCs, sometimes they can get a little bit hot, sometimes they can come a little bit loose. It's perfectly fine to use them. I just prefer to bypass those and just solder straight in. It's not something you have to do, but I just prefer doing it. So let's get this soldered up. I am actually going to use yellow wire for both, which means I'm going to have to mark these two. I've kept a little bit of blue at the bottom just so that I know which one's which when it comes to soldering onto the motor. So on here, this ESC, we also have a Tamiya connector. Now, once I've finished building the car, I need to look at what batteries will fit in. So I'm thinking these are going to get turned into bullet connectors, either 4mm or 5mm, depending on the batteries that I choose to use with this car. So these also need to be fixed up. Now, if you follow the manual, this is how the car is going to be laid out. Obviously, we have our servo, our electrics, and our battery at the back. However, there are these extra 2 holes here, which I think allows for the battery to be set a little bit further forward. I'm not sure if that is an option. It doesn't say it in the manual, but I might have a little look and see. So there it is. I haven't put a pinion in it yet, so I need to do that. I need to work out what gearing to run. I've also got to get the other wheels sorted out. So obviously, when you're running indoors on carpet, some clubs don't like using these spiky tyres.
Yeah.
So I've got some modern wheels sorted, and I need to get those made up. But it's pretty much ready to go.
Do you know, it looks really nice, and well done to Schumacher for creating a build that, you know, it hasn't changed. Looking at your video, I'm really looking forward to it. Do you know what I'm not looking forward to? The end of my fingertips bleeding.
What, Eclips?
But they've left all of those quirky little bits in this kit, and I think that's a really good thing. For me, nostalgia-wise, don't get better than this car, so I'm thoroughly looking forward to building mine and racing you and beating you again. You
ain't going to beat me. I'm going to have like weeks and weeks head start, because I'm going to get like maybe 30, I might get 60 laps in this week, and you haven't built yours, so I'm 60 laps ahead already.
Do you know what? Before we sign off this video, I've just read something on the back of this box. It says here, ball differentials invented by Cecil Schumacher in 1978. I was 1 year old, and Cecil Schumacher was messing around with his balls.
There you go.